November 2025. Your feed is the usual chaos, politics, scandals, and ads promising eternal youth. When suddenly, one headline cuts through the noise like a siren from the future. Chinese scientists have created a pill that could make you live to 150. And for one instant, the entire world forgets to breathe. Across the globe, cameras freeze mid-broadcast. News anchors squint at their teleprompters as if reality just glitched. Social media explodes. Memes flood in. Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin caught on a hot mic in Beijing, joking about living to 150. The clip is only a few seconds long before Chinese state TV pulls it, but it's too late. The internet has already crowned them the immortal duo. The memes go wild. Putin in a cryogenic pod, Xi holding the Fountain of Youth capsule like a sacred relic. It feels like a prank, until you realize the science behind it is very, very real. Inside a glowing lab in Shenzhen, a scientist holds a small transparent capsule under a cold light. Reporters crowd around. The label reads PCC1, short for procyanidin C1, a compound extracted from grape seeds. According to the Chinese Academy of Sciences, this molecule did something nature had never seen before. In tests, it hunted down and destroyed senescent cells. Those zombie cells that refuse to die and slowly corrode the body from the inside. Once they were gone, something incredible happened. The old mice began to act young again. Their muscles recovered. Their organs worked better. Their fur grew thicker. And when the numbers came in, the results made scientists blink twice. The mice lived 9% longer. 9%. It doesn't sound like much, until you realize that in the slow war against time, 9% is a revolution. It's the first visible crack in the wall we call mortality. And now, a biotech startup in Shenzhen, Lonvi Biosciences, claims they're ready to take the next step: human trials. Their CEO, Zhou Yifan, calls PCC1 the first real anti-aging drug. Investors call it the trillion-dollar breakthrough. The internet calls it the 150-year pill. It sounds absurd, like science fiction dressed in a lab coat. Yet the evidence isn't a rumor. It's in Nature Metabolism, 2021, peer-reviewed, confirmed, archived forever. This isn't hype, it's data. And that makes it even scarier. Because this story isn't just about science, it's about power. For decades, Silicon Valley billionaires have tried to outsmart death, freezing their bodies, uploading their minds, and pretending eternity can be bought by subscription. But this time, the first real move didn't come from California. It came from China. And suddenly, the oldest dream on Earth is part of the newest geopolitical game. So, what is this really? A scientific miracle? Or the quiet beginning of a biological arms race? In this episode, we're going far beyond one pill. We'll uncover the hidden history of humanity's obsession with immortality. From emperors who drank mercury in search of eternal life to engineers reprogramming the human body like software. We'll explore the real science behind PCC1, how close we truly are to making death optional, and the billion-dollar rivalry between East and West to control the clock of life itself. You'll discover the experiments they don't show on TV, the secrets buried in the data, and the one question that terrifies every scientist chasing eternity: what if we actually win? Before we open that capsule, a quick note. This is Crazy Science Stories, where every story is real but told like a cinematic thriller. Here, science isn't a lecture, it's an adventure. We break down the strangest discoveries with clarity, humour, and a touch of madness. Because learning about the future should feel like watching a movie that just might be true. So hit subscribe, stay curious, and let's keep bending reality together. Now, let's rewind. Because this isn't China's first attempt to cheat death, it's just the most ambitious one yet. Long before glowing laboratories and billion-dollar biotech startups, there was another China, a world of smoke, silk, and superstition. A land where emperors commanded armies of alchemists to bottle eternity, where immortality wasn't a metaphor, it was state policy. 2,000 years ago, the first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, stood atop a newly unified empire and declared that death itself would be his next conquest. He sent fleets of ships in every direction, ordering explorers to find the elixir of life. Some searched for it in distant islands, others in volcanoes, and most never returned. Those who did brought him powders, potions, and promises, mercury mixed with jade dust, elixirs glowing like molten silver. The emperor swallowed them all, and then, poisoned from within, he died before turning 50. Irony, it seems, has always had a taste for ambition. Still, the dream refused to die. In the centuries that followed, Taoist mystics and court physicians kept the legend alive. They built furnaces to refine the essence of heaven, convinced that metals could be transformed into life. Every dynasty had its alchemists, each one believing that with the right balance of fire, air, and faith, mortality could be cooked away. Fast forward to today, and the ingredients have changed, but the recipe hasn't. The Chinese dream of immortality never died. It just upgraded from cauldrons of mercury to cryogenic pods and gene sequencers. The same hunger, the same faith, just new toys. They used to boil mercury, as one historian joked. Now they distill hope. Because if the West dreams of Mars, China dreams of eternity. Both are cosmic goals, both driven by pride and power. But one looks to the stars while the other looks inward to rewrite the code of life itself. This obsession runs deep. In Chinese mythology, the goddess Shi Wangmu, Queen Mother of the West, guarded the peaches of immortality, fruit said to ripen only once every 3,000 years. In 2025, her modern disciples don't guard peaches, they guard patents. Their temples are laboratories, their prayers are grant proposals, and their incense is the soft blue light of bioreactors humming through the night. It's almost poetic. What was once alchemy has become biochemistry, and what was once mythology is now molecular. The quest is the same. Conquer time before it conquers us. And that's where our story turns scientific. Because 2,000 years after Qin Shi Huang's death, his modern heirs believed they've finally found the molecule he was searching for. Not in the mountains of heaven, but inside something far more ordinary. A grape. Imagine a place where time itself seems sterilized. A room so bright and white it could belong to another planet. Rows of transparent cages line the walls, filled with tiny grey mice whose lives are being rewritten, molecule by molecule. Inside this lab in Shenzhen, science isn't whispered. It hums. Machines blink, tubes pulse, and somewhere behind layers of glass, a researcher lowers a needle. The liquid inside glows faintly violet. It's called PCC1. Each injection is a quiet rebellion against biology. The scientists aren't just studying aging, they're trying to delete it. To understand what's happening here, you need to meet the villains of this story: senescent cells. These are the body's biological squatters. Old, damaged cells that refuse to die and refuse to work. They sit there, releasing toxins, inflaming everything around them, slowly turning the body into its own worst enemy. Most creatures accumulate them over time, and that build-up is one of the reasons we grow old. PCC1 is part of a new class of compounds known as senolytics. Drugs designed to hunt down those zombie cells and make them self-destruct, leaving the body younger, cleaner, more efficient. In theory, it's spring cleaning at the cellular level, and in practice, it worked. The results were published in Nature Metabolism in late 2021. The data was simple but staggering. The mice that received PCC1 didn't just live longer, they lived better. Their muscles stayed strong, their hearts pumped cleaner, their coordination improved, and they ran faster on tiny treadmill wheels. In some tests, their endurance nearly doubled. In lab terms, that's a miracle, one researcher said. In human terms, it's like turning your grandma into a marathon runner for about 9% longer. The success didn't come from magic, but math. The PCC1 molecule targeted a specific protein pathway inside the senescent cells, forcing them into programmed death. The mice that got the treatment saw their tissues rejuvenate within weeks. The control group, the untreated mice, aged normally, sluggish, tired, the way nature intended. The treated ones seemed to defy it. But here's where the dream cracks. A mouse lives 2 years. A human, if we're lucky, 80. That 9% gain in rodents doesn't mean a century and a half for us, not even close. The leap from a 2-year lifespan to 150 isn't a step. It's a canyon. And yet, you can't ignore the symbolism. For the first time in history, a chemical compound has pushed back the boundaries of age. Not by hiding wrinkles or tightening skin, but by cleansing the very roots of decay. Still, that didn't stop one Chinese company from betting billions on turning mouse miracles into human history. And this is where science meets power. Night falls over Shenzhen, and the skyline looks like the future already happened. Neon veins of blue and gold climb the towers, pulsing with light. At the center of it all stands a glass monolith, Lonvi Biosciences, glowing like a cathedral devoted to the cult of youth. Inside, the hum of servers replaces the chanting of monks. Scientists work in silence beneath a ceiling lit like an artificial dawn. Lonvi isn't just another startup chasing headlines. It's part of China's National Life Science Strategy 2040. A government-backed plan to make the nation a global leader in human longevity. Their goal is not only to cure disease, but to redefine aging itself. The company receives state funding, military-grade computing resources, and a mandate written between the lines: win the race to immortality before anyone else. Meanwhile, across the Pacific, Jeff Bezos pours billions into Altos Labs. Google quietly expands Calico, and the US bets on the same dream with private money. The contrast couldn't be sharper. In America, the quest for eternal life is a hobby for billionaires. In China, it's a national project. Our goal, says CEO Zhou Yifan, standing before a wall of flickering gene maps, is to make 150 the new 80. The audience applauds, half in awe, half in disbelief. It's easy to laugh until you see how serious they are. New research parks rise overnight. Entire university departments pivot to anti-aging studies. State television airs documentaries about the coming century of longevity. This isn't fringe science anymore. It's economic policy. And somewhere between ambition and paranoia, a strange truth emerges. Aging has become the new arms race. Whoever delays death the longest controls the future, not through weapons, but through demographics, productivity, and power. The country that solves aging first won't just have older citizens. It will have immortal investors, tireless workers, and infinite time to outthink its rivals. When Silicon Valley says they'll live forever, one analyst jokes, they mean as data. When China says it, they mean as citizens. The humour hides the tension, because behind every glossy press release lies the same unanswered question. Can biology really be bent to will? Or are we watching the most expensive placebo in history? A global montage unfolds like a fever dream of the 21st century. Scientists debate under studio lights, their faces half curiosity, half exhaustion. Investors grin on CNBC, calling aging the next trillion-dollar market. Philosophers frown into microphones, asking whether conquering death means we've finally lost our minds. Across the world, the same argument loops on repeat. Is immortality humanity's greatest achievement, or its most elegant mistake? In one corner of the world, in a conference room in Boston, researchers present slides on PCC1, charts, graphs, bright red bars. The compound looks promising, yes, but still preclinical. The study that shook the world was done on mice, not men. Scaling that to humans isn't science fiction. It's simply hard science, the kind that takes decades and billions. Because here's the truth no headline can simplify. Aging isn't one process. It's hundreds. DNA damage, mitochondrial exhaustion, stem cell collapse, proteins folding wrong, telomeres fraying, inflammation smouldering through every organ like slow fire. You can't cure aging with one pill any more than you can stop time with one clock. That's why reversing it requires something more radical. Cellular reprogramming, the art of teaching old cells to behave like young ones again. Enter Altos Labs, Jeff Bezos' secretive empire of scientists and Nobel laureates. Their work builds on the legendary Yamanaka factors, 4 genes discovered in 2006 that can rewind a cell's biological age without erasing its identity. The goal isn't to stop aging, it's to press undo. It sounds like magic, but it's real. In lab dishes, human cells exposed to these factors regain youthful markers, repairing DNA and restoring lost function. Some mice treated with partial reprogramming live longer and heal faster. But the risk is enormous. Reprogram too much, and cells forget what they are, turning into tumours. In the race against aging, the line between cure and chaos is thinner than a chromosome. Then there's Unity Biotechnology, another key player, testing senolytic drugs like PCC1 directly in humans. Their approach is simpler. Don't rewind the cells, just clean up the mess. Eliminate the zombie cells, reduce inflammation, buy the body time. In 2024, their first human trials showed glimpses of progress. Better tissue recovery, lower inflammatory markers. Nothing miraculous, but enough to make Wall Street listen. The same year, in Tokyo, a research team used Yamanaka factors to rejuvenate the skin of an elderly patient. In Berlin, a biotech startup grew lab organs from reprogrammed tissue. In Shenzhen, AI models began predicting biological age with near-perfect accuracy. Everywhere you look, pieces of the puzzle are snapping together. Still, the dream remains fragile. PCC1 can clear the garbage, but it can't rebuild the house. Cellular reprogramming can rewind the clock, but it risks breaking the mechanism. CRISPR gene editing can rewrite DNA, but it still plays God with the code of life. Each technology is a miracle and a minefield. The West and East approach it like rival philosophies. In the United States, the future belongs to billionaires. Bezos funds Altos. Musk dreams of Neuralink, a fusion of human minds and machines where immortality means uploading consciousness rather than preserving the body. The American dream of eternity is digital, private, individual. Immortality as a startup, beta testing the soul. China's version is biological, collective, strategic. The state envisions a longer-lived population as both economic strength and moral triumph. Longevity not as luxury, but as policy. The West wants to cheat death. China wants to manage it. Humans are starting to split into two species of dreamers. The ones who want to upload their brains and the ones who want to reprint their skin. Either way, we're starting to sound like a beta version of ourselves. Half software, half superstition. And yet, hope refuses to die. Every year, science inches closer to the threshold once thought divine. We're learning how to repair organs, reverse age in cells, and perhaps push human life beyond the boundaries written by nature. Not 150 years yet, but 120. That's starting to sound less like fantasy and more like the opening chapter of a new species. Still, beneath the excitement, a question lingers like a shadow on the wall. Even if we can live longer, even if we conquer every cell that betrays us, have we remembered to ask why we should? Because maybe the real challenge isn't how to stretch life, but how to make it worth stretching. And that's what we're about to explore next. The music fades. The light turns cold. Picture a silent room lined with cryogenic tanks, each one humming like a metallic heartbeat. Frost blooms on their surface, catching the glow of a single capsule floating nearby. PCC-1, the modern philosopher's stone. Beside it lies an ancient Chinese scroll, its ink cracked with time. Two dreams, separated by millennia, still chasing the same miracle. From mercury to molecules, from spells to science, the human dream hasn't changed. We still can't stand endings. We've simply traded temples for laboratories, priests for physicists, faith for funding. Every age rewrites the same story. The refusal to disappear. But maybe immortality won't make us more human. Maybe it will make us forget what being human even means. Because what gives life its depth is its limit. Urgency gives meaning. The countdown is what turns time into art. A song that never ends stops being music. A story that never closes stops being a story. Nietzsche once warned, without death, life would lose its weight. He was right. Take away the end, and you take away the point. Without the shadow of death, love becomes routine, ambition turns hollow, and time, infinite time, becomes noise. And yet, who among us wouldn't be tempted? Imagine holding that glowing pill between your fingers, feeling its promise pulse through your skin. 100 extra years to travel, to learn, to love, to regret. The chance to see the world transform again and again until you no longer recognize it, or yourself. It's beautiful. It's terrifying. It's human. Maybe that's why every civilization stops just short of eternity. Because deep down, we sense that forever isn't a gift. It's a loop, an endless echo of our own desires. So perhaps the 150-year pill won't make you immortal, just long enough to realize that what we truly fear isn't death, It's wasting life. So tell us, would you take it? Would you swallow the pill that could buy you a century more, if it cost you the very mystery that makes every second worth living? This was Crazy Science Stories, where science flirts with madness and the future is already under construction.